willing to try almost anything if it makes sense, you know. And if I fail in trying, then I'm learning as I go. And if people are watching that as I go, then they're learning as well. I know some people tune into this channel just to see if, you know, how bad I'm going to screw up, but I don't consider myself a screw up like that. What we're going to do today, Miss Martian and I, we fully believe that getting food, growing our own food again, you know, we've been working on it for the last few years. Obviously our project, everything we're doing is all about food independence. With the delays that we're having in the indoor growing facilities, it's never been a plan that we're going to give up on our garden. We don't think people should give up on gardening. You need to do that. So we are going to be getting our garden in shape. We have been working on it. Today I need to move some manure around and till the soil up, and going to do some video on that. I think she's going to be joining us later this afternoon. Weather is nice, 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind is blowing really hard though, and still has a little winter bite on it. I am sporting the farmer's sunburn here. I was out working for the neighbor, putting a bunch of fence posts in, and I didn't have sunscreen on, like I told you guys in a previous video. You should always do. Do as I say, not as I do. I hate that answer, so sorry about that. I couldn't find it. I need to go order it, but anyway. So we're gonna get out there, get on the tractor, get the gloves on, and just start moving stuff around here. And we'll show you all that. I'm really happy with our grow beds. You know, I think if I were starting from scratch, I would probably never build the grow beds we built because they're expensive. But since we built them from Hab 1, and since we built them for Hab 1 and we had them, there's no point in ripping them apart. I mean, they're 2x12s with a solid bottom, a pond liner, a drain hole, aquaponic rock, lava rock down at the bottom, which helps facilitate bacteria and good drainage. Dirt, compost, dirt, rotil, all that stuff together, and just they work great. And I'm really happy with them. So, you know, if you ever do build grow beds, above ground raised beds, you know, these are ones that you seriously want to consider putting together. So they're really nice. I like them. Let's go get to work and get this funk out. Get the funk out. This is a good opportunity to talk about composting and soil. So in today's world, it's so easy to just expect things to be there. So when you want to go to gardening, you go to Walmart, you go to Home Depot, you go to your home improvement store, you grab some dirt, it's all fancy, it's all good, and you put that in your pot or you put that in your garden, and you're so used to having that. But in the world that I think we're going into, those things are going to be less and less available. It's not going to disappear off the face of the earth tomorrow or anything, but it's just logistically, it's going to be harder to get things. Our pioneer brethren for us in the United States, and certainly over in Europe, I mean, you guys have been around for thousands and thousands of years ahead of us. Your ancestors, they knew how to manage dirt. And it sounds like such a simple thing to do, but it's not. There are some basics to it. Good microbial life is extremely important in your dirt. Organic matter that microbial life can break down, and fungus can break. My goodness, that thing's out of control today. Sorry. I gotta have it because someone's supposed to be calling me for a delivery, so sorry. Okay, so what we've got here is when we clean the stalls, when we clean out the beds, yard trimmings, anything like that, they come out in compost piles. So this is a 1.5-year old compost pile that we have here, and the chicken comes out, you know, the critters, they eat the stuff that they can eat, and the manure sits there and it decomposes, and you got to stir that. This is a 2 to 3 year old pile, and it's much nicer. I've stirred it a few times already, but you see these big clumps in it. They still need to be broken down more. And then over here in the corner, this is a 3-4 year old pile, and it is really fine dirt. So what we're going to be doing today, we're not going to be taking off of these. We're going to be taking that pile over there and moving pretty much all of it up to the grow beds, and then we're going to rototill that all in. And we actually did buy probably our last load of soil that I think we'll be buying. just to top off the beds, because last year we didn't have enough dirt in them, and dirt's expensive when you buy good dirt. Like, I have a hard time paying for dirt. It just doesn't make sense. Like, hey, I spent $500 on dirt. Good for you, right? That's a waste of money. Anyway, it's not a waste of money. You need good dirt. You do need good soil, but it just feels like a waste of money. And you can take dirt like this here. You know, you're like, hey, Jeff, you're standing on a bunch of dirt. Yeah, you can go dig a big hole and get fill dirt, which that's all it is. It's just fill. And we did that. We actually did use some fill dirt in those beds. But you got to mix it in with good organic matter that has the right nutrients in it for your plants. So if you don't do that, then you'll have roots. And that's all you'll have, because they might sprout a little bit, but there won't be enough to create hardy vegetables and grow a really nice crop. So you got to have good soil. So today we're going to be moving that pile up and getting it in the beds. Going to get the bucket on the tractor. We got to lock the critters in their pasture so I can have access to this real nice and easy. It's a beautiful day, though. It is. It's a good day. It's going to be a great day. That wind is whipping. It just tipped the camera over in the tripod. Thank God I have it in a frame. Keep it safe. Otherwise, we'd have one broken camera there, and that would be no fun for anyone. Hey, everyone, thanks so much for following along on our little journey here. It's really appreciated. If you liked our videos, you like this video so far, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Ring that bell so you get notified of our future videos. I got a lot more work to do. I just want to tell you guys that. And you can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram if you want to see some more of the behind the scenes and up-to-date stuff, since these videos are a little behind real time. And then if you really want to help us out, you could do so through Patreon. Whew. Enough talk. Back to work. Boss says one wheelbarrow full per bed. And when you set up your, this is our sacrifice area here, right? So if you're brand new to homesteading, you want to make sure you have an area where you don't care about it. This is where the critters are going to be during the winter. They're going to destroy it. You notice there's no vegetation growing here. Then you have your pastures. So we have 1, 2, 3 main pastures over there, which essentially we're not going to break those up into smaller paddocks, but paddocks, pastures, all there. And you rotate your critters on those so that they don't destroy the ground. And you know, there's been a lot of arguments over how you should manage a pasture. The kind of the one that I'm subscribing to is animals are good for pasture. If you look at how agriculture has evolved over the last 1,000, 2,000 years, well before humans really got involved, animals knew how to maintain the pastures on their own. And I believe that's the right thing to do. I mean, it used to be herds of buffalo here in the North America would just be running through the Midwest, you know, just herds of them. Or here in the Pacific Northwest, elk and deer, just huge herds. And their hooves and everything, what they do is, you know, they go through an area, they're chomping it down, they're keeping everything nice and knocked down. It's great for fire control and everything. And then they're leaving their excrement behind, and then because there's so many of them, what's happening is they're trampling that their urine and their feces back into the ground. And in addition to trampling those things into the ground, they're also churning up the ground, which is kind of aerating it, breaking it up, and then snow comes and pushes that all back down, flattens it, and we start all over again. So I'm a believer in having animals on pasture. Overgrazing a pasture, there's actually science that's saying that overgrazing is a good thing. On that one. But I'm really happy with how our pastures are looking. What I'd like to do is be able to replant them again. The far pasture, we actually did an experiment with our conservation district. We actually killed it completely and then replanted it, and it came back really nice. But just planting over in the middle one out here, where the cows are at right now, that one we just planted on top of, and it did not turn out as nice. And that's because we live in a dry farmland area, and we don't have irrigation. So what happens is any vegetation that's in the soil collects that water and it's competing for water. So if you put new crops in, even if it's just grass, it's competing with all the weeds and everything else that has actually already sunk its roots down quite a ways. So when we did that experiment, it was a controlled experiment with all of our pastures. We have 4 pastures total. And the one that we killed did the best out of all of them. Using natural methods on the rest, it just did not work. And you'd have to invest a lot of time in order to get those pastures to come back in purely natural forms. So we're going to be spending some time on that in the future. If you guys have any good links or anything you'd like to share, if you have experience, please do share it in the comments down below so that people can see from your experience, I can see from it, I'll take video on it, and then we all learn together. And I think that's the real Martian going forward is, you know what, on that note, that is a good thing. I'm going to squirrel here on you is I've been really happy. Our mission is to help provide sustainable food and energy independence to local communities and families around the world. That's our mission statement. And even with all the bumps and hiccups and everything I just shared and the kind of the depressive state of mind that I'm in right now with all the challenges due to this new world that we live in, I am still very, very, very proud of the other almost 400 videos before this one where we have shared our experience in learning and growing and doing aquaponics and microgreens and rainbow trout. And all of our lessons learned have gone out there so that people right now at this moment in time, they can watch what we did wrong, they can learn from what we did right, and they can be more successful. And that's a really good feeling. I was thinking of that last night. I think God opened my eyes to that. Is there's a lot of people watching our older videos, and if you're new to the channel, go back and look at the older videos. Click on videos up above and sort from oldest to newest. Now, the first videos kind of suck. In fact, I think Mrs. Marsh and I were considering doing some behind-the-scene watch parties for our patrons or our membership. We haven't decided on which one to continue with, but we want to give them the inside scoop, like watching the old stuff and recording us seeing it again for the first time and going like, oh my goodness. I watched the very first YouTube video I did. It was horrendous. I couldn't even, man, it was so crazy. Anyway, I'm really, really happy that people have been able to watch our videos and learn. And I hope that the Real Martian Challenge or the Real Martian channel does that forever. Like, it's okay if I look like an idiot and help people. I'm not an idiot, and I'm willing to try almost anything if it makes sense, you know. And if I fail in trying, then I'm learning as I go. And if people are watching that as I go, then they're learning as well. I know some people tune into this channel just to see if, you know, how bad I'm going to screw up, but I don't consider myself a screw up like that. So anyway, that's just a little side note. It's nice talking to you guys. You may not feel it, but for me, it's nice talking to you, and I'll see you in the comments. I'll go get to work now. Well, this is looking pretty darn nice there, Mrs. Martian.
I'm so excited for the progress.
It looks really good. You did a great job.
You too. Thank you, honey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what we do today, we got all the beds rototilled.
Yeah.
We got manure added.
So you got to add nutrients to the soil.
We did that.
So we add aged manure.
Age, yeah, it's 3 to 4 year old. We talked about that earlier.
Oh, good.
And then we added just a little layer of topsoil. And honestly, I don't think we're going to have to add topsoil again.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I think next year all we're going to have to do is replace the nutrients that we take out.
Yeah.
Because
hopefully.
With that rototiller, it worked.
Yeah, it was hard to tell in some areas the difference between the soil that we purchased and our soil from last year. Yeah. We did purchase the same soil from last year, so some of the same stuff was in it. So next year we probably should be good to go. Yeah.
Now I was talking earlier that, you know, we got to do like the old timers. We got to figure out how to make the soil good every year, especially like the corn. The corn came out and it was like super white. Like a lot of the nutrients just been sucked out of the soil over there. Huh. Compared to all the other beds, it looked like it had a problem. And corn takes a lot of nutrients, so we got to figure out how to put it all back in there again. So anyway, it's a great day's worth of work.
Yes.
We're glad we could share it with you guys, and hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Don't forget to ring that little bell so you get notified when we put out new videos. And you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram for some of the behind the scenes. And since we're not really, these videos are a little bit behind real time, you can see some more stuff that's more recent. And then if you'd like to support what we're doing, you can do so through Patreon. In the meantime, this is Mr. and Mrs. Martian out.
Thanks, guys.